Growing Your Business, a series of podcasts brought to you by the Learning Works team at Highlands Islands Enterprise. In this podcast, we'll be focusing on purchasing. Experts from across the Highlands Islands will be sharing their thoughts on the incredible impact that structured purchasing can have on a business's bottom line profits. For many businesses, a 1% cut in its costs can have the same impact on profit as a 10% increase in sales. Therefore, it's vitally important to build purchasing into your business plan, as described by Ian Forsyth from Inverness-based Development Partners.
I think as a starting point, businesses really need to look at what are the things that they're going to be buying and think about the kind of categories of purchases that businesses make. In our experience, there's probably three categories that you can broadly slot everything into. The first of those is for businesses that are maybe buying stock that they're then going to be selling on to customers, cost of sales if you like. The second element would be capital costs, things like equipment, vehicles, that type of thing, the kind of longer term purchase. And then the last category that's common across all businesses are ongoing running costs. So they're not determined by how much you sell, but they are costs that you'll incur on a monthly basis.
To maximise the efficiency of your purchasing, it's important to spend time researching the products, services and items you're looking to bring into your business. Scott Dingwall, Sourcing Manager for LifeScan Scotland, believes that gathering feedback from employees, customers and current suppliers, as well as using the internet, can be a great place to start.
There's a number of tools, apart from Google, you can Google a supplier, but there's a number of tools that are out there that for a small fee you can get financial results of companies, limited companies, not privately held companies, to give you an idea of how these guys are performing year on year. But also I think you would look at who you know internally within the enterprise. So we're part of a larger organisation. You would always look to who do you know in the larger organisation that can give you an insight into suppliers. It's always a useful thing. Within the business there are leads, category leads who we look to from a LifeScan perspective as to, okay, do these guys know of other suppliers who are very good in certain areas? Yeah? But also be willing to listen to people who work within LifeScan, and if people have a good positive experience from suppliers before, that goes a long way.
It's also important to consider a number of factors when researching potential purchases, as they could influence your buying decision. Ian Forsyth explains more.
The obvious one is, value for money and making sure that you're not getting ripped off. And the more you can plan, the easier it is to negotiate a deal rather than end up with your back against a wall, desperate for a particular product or service that you need to buy in, and basically at the mercy of your supplier. So planning ahead does give you that flexibility. I think some of the other things, though, that you do need to consider are things like reliability. Is one thing making a purchase from someone in your personal life and it doesn't turn up, that's inconvenient. But making a purchase from a supplier who turns out not to be too reliable can end up costing you an awful lot of money, because at the end of the day you maybe end up having to go back to put something right because what your supplier sent you wasn't right, or it was faulty, and you get all sorts of additional costs beginning to mount up because you haven't chosen the right supplier. It's about life cycle, it's about reliability as well. I think that's a critical one. I was actually talking to someone recently who had been purchasing from a particular supplier and was consistently getting the wrong product back in terms of the specification that they were asking for. And the implication for them was that they were having to go back out to the customer's premises to put right the problem, which maybe only took half an hour, but that half an hour is an extra cost to that business. So when you look at the total cost of purchase, you've also, if you like, got to build in things like waste and additional time that you have to spend if you don't get the right product from your supplier in the first place.
Once you've researched your purchases, it's important to select the right supplier. Recommendations from friends and business contacts you trust can prove invaluable, as Scott Sutherland from Loch Ness Lodge discovered when preparing to open their 5-star retreat.
Other business colleagues played an important role in our initial sourcing of products. And what I mean by that in terms of where we get our bathrobes for the bedroom, where we got our towels from, where we got our soaps from, where we got our waters from. All of these things were vitally important with the experience that I have gathered in my past career within hospitality and the other hotels that I worked in, and with other business colleagues whom I know that are in the industry. And we set out with a very clear vision to create a family 5-star environment. And therefore, that if we are to create that environment, there are certain products that fit that environment and there are certain products that don't fit that environment. So business colleagues played a key role. In our team that work with us also play a key role from their recommendations that they've seen in other establishments. And we have found that we've gone with a lot of their advice, which has been great.